Romford Horror Festival 2024, HORRHIFFIC as we're calling it. Nobody can say it properly, so we just accentuate it a little bit. I am joined by the makers of the short movie Spiral to the Center. Introduce yourselves a little bit and what you did on the project.
I'm Alisa Stern, and I co-wrote it, co-directed it, did many other things. Anything with artwork, and I edited it, and I acted a little bit, although I'm not an actress.
And I'm Scott Ampleford. I also co-directed it and co-wrote it, funnily enough. And but then I'm also responsible for everything you hear in the film.
Yeah.
Wrote all the music for it, did the sound design, the audio mix, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, sort of just lots of other stuff. It was one that we do everything more or less on this film. So it's
everyone wears.
You also play the main character.
I also play the main character.
I mean, don't forget that bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you are in it for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. It's only 28 of the 29 minutes. But,
how does, and I'm always intrigued by this, but how does co-directing work?
Well, I think we lucked out on this one because I'm in it so much.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, before we start shooting, I can sort of say, well, can we set up here and do this and do that? But then once I'm playing Rick, it's kind of passed over to Alisa, who then sits and does the direction.
That was just the onset directing. But basically just the entire film, we were just bouncing ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
Really it was a creation of both of our minds that we put our minds together and we came up with this idea, which if you know us, it just feels like we did that because it has so much of both of the things that we like smashed together.
Yeah.
And how did the collaboration come around? How did you kind of meet each other and get involved?
We've been working together for about 12 years now.
Yeah. Because I did these little animated videos on the internet. 12 years ago it started, and it kind of it's a long story, but basically it grew out of a fan art I made on Tumblr, as you do, and I needed someone to make some music for something, so I kind of threw it out there on Tumblr asking for a musician to collaborate with me, and I got in touch with this guy, and then we started working together, and we realized that we just, I wanted him to make music, but he started giving me unsolicited ideas.
Unsolicited my ass.
And then it just grew from there, and it was like, I feel like I'm writing a script, but I want my composer to look over the script before we even animate it. And then it turned out to actually we work really well together.
Yeah.
And then it turns into actually we're co-writers or co-directors. Our skills just mesh really well. So when you put us together, you said we wear so many hats. When we're together, we can make a whole project.
Yeah, that's kind of the joy of it. She is all things visual. I am all things audio. And
the only tough part is the distance.
Yes, yeah, that's the really rough part. Alisa lives in New York City.
So you're actually you're based out in the US.
Yeah.
Wow.
And obviously I live up in Newcastle upon Tyne. So there's so
a project like this was really born out of several hours long phone calls where we hashed out the script and then we'd kind of write notes down. We had an outline that was born out literally. We just throw my AirPods in, you throw your AirPods out, we each go for a long walk in our respective cities, and we came up with the story.
That's so cool. That's actually really cool how that works. And do you think that's a little bit easier now? Because I think everybody's kind of taken to that with the Zoom because of the COVID and the pandemic and all that. But you guys were already doing that.
Oh yeah. It's one of those things we've had no other experience of working together. This is just how we've had to do it.
Yeah.
There've been a few occasions where we've been able to be in the same room and do things.
Which is what we should be doing.
We
have a script that we need to edit, and we should be doing it on this trip. It's also only 5 pages long. We need to take advantage of being in the same place at the same time to edit that script, because Spiral didn't even have that.
Yeah, but we have a bar, so what's the point in
editing? We'll never get anything done.
That's the thing.
You can't create a cocktail for us,
exactly,
and then expect us to sit and do work here.
Which I had last night.
It's good, right?
It's very nice.
It's really good.
I could do without the glitter though.
Oh well, maybe when you see the film, you'll change your mind.
Well, I have seen the film.
Shh. People at home don't know that.
Well, on that, let's jump into Spiral. Tell us a little bit about where this short movie came from and the concept.
Well, it came out of a discussion that we wanted to make a live action film because we collaborated on animated films almost entirely. I am an animator, and that's how we met, collaborating on animated films. But we've always kind of toyed with live action, mostly because Scott wants to make something that's longer form. Yeah, which I understand. You know, being a composer and an actor, you were interested in something a little bit meatier. Because our previous short that we made a few years ago was only 2.5 minutes long.
And doesn't have a score anyway.
Yeah, no score. So, you know, just a little very basic animated film. So we wanted something a little juicier. And it just, as all our ideas, it came out of just kind of a discussion where we weren't talking about anything in particular, but
well, we'd been watching a lot of horror films.
Yeah.
That was the thing. We've been watching a lot of horror films, and I'm a big physical media guy. Right. I do collect vinyl records. I have cassettes, and I've still got all my VHS tapes and DVDs and Blu-rays and all that kind of stuff. And it was one of those things of, you know, physical media is cool, and could we tell a story about it? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of when we started coming. Well, I know probably the most about records, so
yeah, we thought it would be a cool idea. And when you kind of made the suggestion that we could create a really neat sci-fi horror film that incorporated the idea of hidden messages on records, I said that's a neat idea. I'm like, are there any well-known sci-fi or horror films that have that in it? And we couldn't think of any. And it's kind of such a trope.
Yeah, it's like a trope that appears sometimes, but there's no films about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got the old the Beatles, like if you run it backwards.
Yeah. You know, there's jokes in Little Nicky and things like that.
But no one's made a film where that was the inciting incident.
Yeah.
And we said, because you know, you can think of something like The Ring or any of these like films that have physical media, but it's not records and it's not that. And we said that's a cool idea. And also, great excuse for Scott to make some music. And then we kind of were like, this is a neat idea. And we kind of said, we had a couple of conversations, and this story came out. And we said, this is really good, actually. We could make this live action. Here's our opportunity. And then, of course, we realized how big pre-production.
Then we had to make the bloody thing.
We did 6 months of pre-production. And
wow.
It's less than half an hour. I mean, we could have made a feature, which haunts me. But
so would you have rather made a feature?
No, but
I don't know. There is a feature version of this film in us, and we are very much toying with the idea of expanding on it.
As we were working on this simultaneously, if we were chatting about it, something would come up and we say, "Well, that's a good idea. We can't fit it in here, but put it in the outline for the feature." Yeah. So we have a feature where basically the short film is really like the first 2 acts.
Act and a half.
Act and a half. Yeah, they would be the 2 acts here are kind of like. Our short film is basically 2 stripped down versions, or the first 2 acts stripped down and simplified, and that the feature film would have a 3rd act. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we have the idea there. So I mean, I think I'm glad we didn't make a feature of Spiral to the Center, but the amount of effort we put into Spiral to the Center, the short film, could have been
it's
different...
a feature's worth of work represented in 30 minutes.
Exactly. Absolutely. Because the pre-production was insane.
Yeah.
And when did the concept of because most of the time you'll see a found footage movie or you'll see a documentary movie. Your movie starts as a bit of a documentary and then switches. Yeah. When did that concept arise?
Well, when we were sort of working on the script, you know, we're both fans of the found footage genre. Alisa perhaps more than me. And whenever you make a found footage film, you have to answer the question, why are they filming? And then halfway through the movie, you have to answer, why are they still filming?
Yeah.
And so Spiral at its center,
well done,
is a story about obsession.
Yeah.
And so basically 2/3 of the way through the movie, the movie is a faux documentary. The documentarian decides to stop, and Rick decides to do it himself.
Yeah.
And so that we answered that question, and that's why it became documentary found footage, because Rick's doing it himself because he's obsessed by it.
And Scott knows this about me. I'm very like obsessive when I'm writing a story. I like having everything to be like thought out and meaningful. So I wanted Spiral to, like, it's called Spiral to the Center. It's about someone spiraling. Like, I wanted everything to kind of feel like it was in line with the thesis of the film.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, it was really important that we kind of hit those milestones and like had that switch. And that was like a really key thing that we came up with early on. And it was like, yeah, that's why I really like this film, because I think it's doing, you know, it packs a lot into. I mean, we thought it would be 20 minutes when we scripted
The
it.
original script, we were fairly convinced
But
was
that's
a 20-minute
because
script.
we've never made a live action film, so we didn't realize that, you know, we were going 1-to-1 for the page. Each page would be 1 minute, but obviously it's a faux documentary found footage film. So a lot of the pages were more like suggestions.
Sure.
So it expanded real quick. And I knew we were in trouble when we had that one paragraph in the film, which is, there's kind of like a YouTube video that Scott's character watches, and we filmed that YouTube video. It was the first thing we filmed with our friend Erin, who lives in California. So that part was actually shot by her in California. So it's a very international production.
Yeah.
That was one paragraph in the film, and when she shot it, it ended up being like 3 minutes long, and we were like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as well, because it's horror, you know, you want to sit in tension. This film could have been a lot longer.
Yeah.
You know, when we first put the assembly cut together, it was twice as long as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. 40 minutes.
And then we sort of cut it down to the film that it is now. But that wasn't even just cutting out, like, you know, tidying it up. There's scenes that are not in this that were
really only 2 though.
Yeah, a couple of scenes, but also you know, certain horror moments that are great horror moments. And you know, we had to sort of, there's some compromises we had to make, essentially.
There were, because I knew a 40-minute film. Our intention when we make this, at the end of the day, we want people to watch it.
Yeah.
And we knew a 40-minute film wasn't going to find a lot of love at festivals. We were going to be kind of stuck with a film that we would just have to like throw on YouTube. And we really wanted it to be seen by a few audiences. So we kind of made the hard choice to cut it shorter, so it had just a fair shot of playing at a festival. And we said, you know, the idea here is to get it seen, see what people think, and if, you know, one day we could return and make that feature version.
Yeah. And it's like the cuts we made didn't diminish the film. No. It just changed the tone slightly. But I think it was a worthwhile change, and I'm very, very happy with what we ended up with.
Yeah.
And it's a real vibe. Film's a
vibe.
Real vibe.
We tried.
And with all that, the challenges of doing your first live action film, what would you say is the biggest thing you maybe learned about yourself as a filmmaker?
I think that we're capable.
Yeah, for starters, that we can do it. We've never done this before. This is our first film, and we did it. So that's a huge thing.
Tremendous help from Caden, especially, who was
my
our
God.
DP. He really saved our butts. But I think, you know, I mean, Caden was, we couldn't have made it without him, because he shot it, and it's beautifully shot because of him. He really, and
he swooped in and saved our asses on many occasions, and like really helped, you know, get this film done.
Yeah,
definitely wouldn't have got done without him.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, and he would give us feedback and stuff as needed. Like sometimes he helped frame shots and stuff. But I think, you know, he still, like, he assured us that we were making good choices, and he has a lot of on-set experience.
Oh yeah.
While I especially do not, although I'm very capable of pre-production and post-production, but I don't have on-set experience. But I think we did okay. And I don't act. I'm not an actress. I don't act. But it was just easiest for me to fill that role because we had a very small crew and very few actors, and I was always going to be there. So even though it was easier to make me act than to bring in another actress.
Yeah.
You know, and I did fine. I'm not great, but I'm certainly serviceable, which is all that's needed.
Yeah. And I think I learned that I don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest things. You know, the film is just under 30 minutes long, and I wrote about 2 hours of music for the film.
Nice.
And you know, partially from not knowing exactly how much we'd need, because, you know, we started writing the music, you know, before the script was finished, because we knew the music would be that important. You know, and it was just one of those things where, you know, so I enjoyed the process of writing the music so much that tracks that you only hear 30 seconds of in the film are 16 minutes long. And, you know, there's...
You can listen to them.
But you can, yes, that's the thing. Like,
you can buy them.
Yes, well, that wasn't the point entirely, but it's like...
No,
it's
absolutely
not,
is the point.
It's not... It's not like we didn't make this movie because I wanted to sell music. I just happened to write a lot of music that is a very good listening experience. And that's currently available from Bandcamp. That's scottampleford.bandcamp.com. You can buy the album Spiral to the Center and also Vortex, which just came out yesterday. Can you believe that?
What's Vortex?
Vortex is basically one of the fictional albums in our movie that I made for real.
Right.
It's a full album you can go and listen to.
That's pretty sick.
You are Rick.
Sure,
It's
I
like
have
you did
spiraled to the center of the music in this project
You
and
don't
made
know
far
when to
more than
stop.
I don't know when to stop. I got obsessed.
What do you prefer? What aspect do you prefer of this whole thing? The acting, the directing, or putting the music together?
Well, music is the day job.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. And I love making music, but you know, my day to day is making music for other people's films.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very different experience to put music on your own films. And sometimes, you know, as a film fan, there are kinds of films that I'd like to work on that I've never had the chance to. And now I'm thinking, well, if I want to work on that kind of film, I could always just make that kind of film, and then I can write the music to it as well, and all's golden. Yeah,
It's pretty awesome. And are you planning on doing a bit more animating? Is that still you carrying on with that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I do want to keep doing live action because I mean, we made a half-an-hour film that is a huge story, and if I was animating that, I would be well nowhere near done. I would never be done.
No.
So you know, I love animation, and any story can be told in animation, but there's a big but there, which is animation takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that Spiral could have been animated, but it would have taken 30 years to make. So the fact that we made it live action,
and we wouldn't have had quite as much fun on set.
No,
probably as well.
Do you have much fun on set while you're animating?
No.
You get a good workout.
You and your laptop.
No. Yeah, I've been working on a stop motion horror short that we also co-wrote and started making that like 2.5 years ago.
Before Spiral.
Yeah. I don't know how you have the patience.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's got to deal with me, so that probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I started working on that before Spiral, and Spiral, like I said, we didn't plan it. It just kind of came out of like a little conversation, like, and I think in the back of my head, I was getting the itch where the stop motion horror film was starting to irritate me, and I needed a break. So Spiral was the break, and then we finished Spiral, and I went back to working on the stop motion short, and I got pretty far, pretty much ready to animate, and the itch came back, and I was like, this film is destroying me. And then another little accidental idea popped into my head, and now I'm making a different animated short.
Yeah.
But it's a lot simpler because I only started it in December, and I'm basically ready to animate. We're very, very close. So I hope to start animating in the next 2 weeks. And the goal there, because the previous stop motion film wouldn't be done in time for us to hit up any horror festivals this fall, and I don't want to miss out on the cycle of doing some horror festivals this fall, and Spiral basically be done with its festival run by this fall. So I want to make a little quickie stop motion film that hopefully will be done, and we can hit some deadlines and have something in the horror festivals this fall. So that's the plan. Kind of reverse engineered a stop motion film, but I actually really love it. Like, I really, really love it.
It's a fun one. It is.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about, but
yeah, we're keeping a lot of stuff under our hats about next productions, but you know, because it's also very young.
As you should as well.
Yeah, because I also might chicken out of it, and then I thought since I haven't had it.
Well, no, not for that reason.
That little tickle in the back of the brain says, you can't keep working on this, you're going to go mad. So I'm really proud that we finished Spiral, because
I would have never forgiven her if we hadn't, though. Yeah. That's the thing. I would have just had 2 albums to shamelessly sell and no way to plug them. And
well, you have now.
There we go.
Yeah. But you kind of just touched on that a little bit about being proud, and that's one of the things I always like to ask creators and filmmakers is that you can look up on the screen, you see everything that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
What do you look up on the screen you're most proud of, and that day you nailed it, and you're just like, wow, that looked amazing. Isn't it funny how you all go quiet when you ask a positive?
See, when it's a longer film and you've got quite a bit of it to scrub through in your head. I mean, obviously, as a Geordie, being able to put Newcastle on the screen, and Newcastle is a very cinematic-looking city that I think is underrepresented. So making a film that was set in the Northeast, made in the Northeast, with pretty much exclusively actors from the Northeast in at least all the major roles.
Yeah.
And
you had all these local record shops, which is really cool.
Like all the record shops are real record shops that just let us go in and shoot, and
they were lovely. All the record shop owners, incredible. Like they were just like, take all the time you need.
Yeah, just above and beyond. Yeah, just I think that is something I'm very proud of. Just working with a lot of local talent and just making sure that their work's done justice, I think.
Yeah. I think, and for me, I think it's just a story. I think we came up with a really fun idea. I love the characters. I like Rick. Said it's a half an hour film, and he squeezed in a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really rattles along. It's a good.
It rattles. There's some twists and turns. I'm really proud of how much we got in there. Like I think, we wrote a really fun story, and I am excited to potentially expand it one day, even if it's just us. I would love to. We can't make the feature without the script, so I'd love just to have the script just in case. But it's a fun story, and I think it deserves to be told.
Absolutely.
To quote Rick, no, it's just really fun, and there's some twists, and I just like the flow of it that we put together. It's fun.
No, you've made a great little short, and to echo what you just said, cause I'm from up your way as well. I'm up from Newcastle and everything. Seeing it on screen was brilliant, and I loved the fact that I got to see some streets that I genuinely knew. And that's why, like, as soon as I opened your film, I paused it. I said 8 stars. We're showing this. It's a Geordie epic.
It is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think
Geordie epic. I like that.
Yeah.
I think in Newcastle we are getting better though. Like the scene's growing a little bit. But
definitely.
Not at the pace it should be, because you say it's cinematic as hell.
It is. But most of the time you see it on screen, it's pretending to be London.
Yes.
That's the problem. They shot like Transformers movies and Indiana Jones movies there, pretending to be London. And it's like, it's such a better looking city than London. I don't care what anyone says.
I really enjoyed spending time there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean,
yeah,
it's really nice. I mean, I'm from New York, but Newcastle's very impressive, and I'm like, this is gorgeous.
Then we should put, if we get to do like a physical release of this, we should put a Geordie epic.
Oh, definitely.
If it was done in Sunderland, it would be a Mackem opus. That's a good one.
It'd probably be a Mackem turd.
Oh, no. No.
Grey Street.
Great, yeah.
It is the most beautiful street I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Stunning.
Yeah. We shot on there. Did any shots of it make it in the film? I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a shot.
Right, looking towards Grey's Monument.
Yeah, coming under the arches at the Theatre Royal, looking at Grey's Monument. That's in the movie.
Yeah. We shot.
He's sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I know."
We shot a lot of B-roll around Newcastle, and a lot of it didn't end up in the film.
Well, we had one location day. Basically, where we went into Newcastle and we shot all 3 record stores and all of the walking around town stuff. And it was
the scene under the bridge, which we only had time for 1 take of, basically.
Yeah. Yes. It was a mad day. The first shop location, the guide forgot we were coming and arrived like an hour late. And of course, then the whole day is an hour late. Yeah. And small though Newcastle is as a city, it still takes time to walk around it. And we did find ourselves, Caden. Actually, you know what I should say? Not only is Caden a superstar of the film, but so is his car.
Yeah.
Like that car, like he drove us around everywhere we needed to be. I used his car as a dressing room.
Nice.
Like, the scenes that take place in the city centre take place over like 4 or 5 days. So I had 4 or 5 costume changes. Yeah. and just had to leg it back to his car, change clothes, go to a different record shop, come back to the car, change clothes, run down to the river just to walk up again. You know, there was a lot of that going on. Yeah, and so we did, and there was a couple of scenes where it's like, we've got one take, that just nail it, and okay.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So say money was absolutely no object.
Yeah.
Is there a passion project in your heads that you would absolutely go for? Obviously, don't too much about it, but is there something there?
Yeah. Scott knows. I have an outline for a found footage feature that I want to make so badly, and
another one of those ideas, you know, going on a long walk and just nattering the whole time and hashing out a really interesting found footage horror film.
Yeah.
So that's hers anyway.
That's mine.
I'm a giant sci-fi nerd, and I want to make a space opera. I want to make something with loads of model spaceships and location filming and spacesuits and beautiful sets, and that's me. That's what I want to do. And I have written an outline actually. I have written an outline for such a film, but it's one of those things where Lisa goes, "Oh yeah, no, it's great. We can't make it."
Yeah, we could use models, but we can't go into space.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah, we'll get there one day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start wrapping this up. But again, thank you for giving us your movie and letting us show it up on the screen.
Thank you.
No, thanks for showing it.
And it's going to be awesome to see what you do in the future. But on that, we've already talked about a few different projects. just mention a little bit about where people can kind of find you, where they can find previous projects, and just pimp yourself for a minute.
Yeah, well, we have for this film actually, we started an Instagram that is kind of like collaborative for Odd Frame Films, which is the name we came up with for it's not a production company, you say, but it's a
collective now.
It's the name that we slap on projects that we have both worked on just to make it easier. So we have an Instagram handle, Odd Frame Films, and we also have a YouTube channel, and we have thrown our older projects on there, which is 2 stop motion shorts, like micro shorts under 5 minutes, and they're both on there with a couple other little things. Odd Frame Films on YouTube. I don't know what will end up there in the future, but it's a good place to drop stuff. And then we have our individual Instagrams. Mine is at Dr. Puppet.
Yeah.
It's a lot of cat photos.
On brand.
Yeah.
On brand.
Cat photos and stop motion.
And my stuff's kind of everywhere. Again, I have all the standard social medias. My name's Scott Ampleford. That's my handle on all of them. I've got a YouTube channel where I make videos about music, basically. And obviously, I am a recording artist that releases music. So my stuff's on primarily Bandcamp, but also streaming services.
And you've made this short, and you've brought it to us, and you've given it to us. And now you've fed your filmmaking soul, so to speak. Are you just going to continue going, and what is it? What is the passion that's driving it?
Just wanting to tell stories.
Yep.
I think.
Real cliche.
Yeah.
It's true. We come up with, we'll be talking, we come up with all sorts of wild ideas, and it's really sad not to see at least some of them get realized.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things where music is one kind of storytelling, and that's lovely. But getting to do that and getting to tell stories in a more traditional way is fantastic. And the fact that I can marry them both together is, it's the dream. It's great.
It's fun watching other people react to them.
Yeah.
When the day job becomes your passion, it's no longer a day job.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
When it all goes out, I'll let you know when the interviews go up and everything like that. But honestly, I think Spiral's it's fantastic, and I would love to see either another short, or if you wanted to go to the feature route, absolutely, I'm all in.
We're open to it. We
Yeah.
can't do it by ourselves. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I hope we can one day.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
anybody watching this with plenty of money, there you go.
Let us know.